The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Vegas Golden Knights have both punched their tickets to the Conference Championship Finals in the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. In today's video, we're going to recap the two series that finished up yesterday, which was the Golden Knights and the San Jose Sharks, and the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. And that's coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams. So if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as we mentioned off the top, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Vegas Golden Knights have both punched their tickets to move on to the conference finals. So now we're going to take a recap here and take a look at how they disposed of their opponents in the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. So obviously the Tampa Bay Lightning defeated the Boston Bruins in 5 games, while the Vegas Golden Knights took out the San Jose Sharks in 6. So let's start here with Tampa Bay Lightning versus Boston Bruins. Do a quick recap here of the series and determine what went well and what went wrong for the Boston Bruins. Now let's take a look here. First of all, the Boston Bruins got off to a fantastic start, winning game number one 6-2 over Tampa. They had a pretty solid game. They only had one power play opportunity, but they took advantage of it and they scored. The Lightning were 1 for 3 on the power play. The shots on goal were in favor of Tampa as well, 36-29. But with a 6-2 victory, obviously Boston's top line really dominated that game. Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak had a tremendous game, and they really took over the start of the series and got off to a really solid start. Made it hard on the defenders as well as Vasilevsky. Tuukka Rask had a pretty solid game. As I mentioned in the preview video for this round of the playoffs, I did predict Boston to win. So obviously they didn't prove me right here. They came up short on my prediction. But one of the things that I said that they needed to get in order to win and was an absolute must is Tuukka Rask had to be in the absolute top form, top of his game, and he had to outplay Vasilevsky in the net, and he might have to steal a game or two for Boston to get by Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I mean, Rask wasn't terrible, but he wasn't absolutely solid. Wasn't able to steal any games. Like sometimes goaltending, you can be okay, you can be average, but that's not good enough in the playoffs. Rask needed to be a little bit better, in my opinion, because after this game where he did play well, Tampa Bay Lightning won the next 4 games. Now, if you take a look at the scores, they weren't really all that bad. Like the Lightning won all 4 games, but they were all relatively close, and there was a few empty net goals here, so it kind of might sound worse than what it was. But for example, in Game 2, Tampa Bay won 4-2. They outshot the Bruins 31-20, so obviously that's a problem. Boston just wasn't able to generate enough chances. Tampa Bay went 1 for 4 in the power play. The Bruins were 0 for 3. So Tampa Bay had a small edge on special teams. They had a fairly big edge on shots on goal, a 4-2 victory. But still, overall, I must say in that game, like their D and Rask did kind of hold them in tight. They just couldn't generate enough offense. After the first game with Tampa Bay losing 6-2, they made some adjustments. And like for example, their Braden Point's line really turned things around. Braden Point had a tremendous game. He didn't look the greatest in Game 1 against the Bruins. Like I said, their top line really took advantage of that inexperience there. But Braden Point bounced back and really did a much better job being that shutdown center iceman. Well, not just a shutdown guy, but a good two-way center, good two-way line. We saw guys like Braden Point, Tyler Johnson, Andre Palat. They really bounced back, had much better games to support that top line of Stamkos and Kucherov and JT Miller. So then moving on to Game 3, we had another 4-1 Tampa Bay victory. Tampa Bay again outshot the Bruins 37-29. Again, Boston was 1 for 1 on the power play, where Tampa was 1 for 5. So Boston was taking advantage of their opportunities on the power play when they got them. They just weren't getting enough of them. Obviously, they were taking way more penalties than Tampa. I know I saw a lot of Bruins fans complaining on social media about this series that the refs were favoring Tampa. I'm not really going to get into all that right now, but I know that I will say this for sure, that Tampa definitely had more opportunities. That's a given. We'll get into a summary here momentarily to discuss the recap here as a whole. Moving on to Game 4, we had an overtime game with the Lightning coming ahead 4-3. Defenseman Dan Girardi scored the overtime winner as a tip-in goal. Boston again 2 for 4 in the power play, so pretty solid. Tampa was only 1 for 4, but still contributed a key power play goal. And the Bruins actually outshot the Lightning in this game 32-29. So for once, the Bruins kind of get back creating some more opportunities. The game was obviously closer, went to overtime, but the bounces went Tampa's way. They got the game, went up 3-1. Now in Game 5 here, it was a pretty solid game as well. Tampa Bay actually, again, had fewer shots on goal than Boston, 28-22 in favor of the Bruins. A 3-1 Tampa Bay victory, though. Both teams were 1 for 3 on the power play, so special teams were pretty even. Overall, though, in this game, it really boiled down to the fact that Vasilevsky just made a few more bigger saves than Rask did. It's just that simple. Boston really pushed hard at the end. They were really pouring it on in the third period, trying to get this game close. I mean, it was a 2-1 game for a while. Obviously, Tampa ended up getting the empty netter to kind of seal it up. Anton Stralman scored the empty net goal near the end of the game to get that insurance goal. So it was really tightly contested, close game. But Tampa Bay's defense and their forwards, like their overall defensive team game, along with Vasilevsky in the net, just outmatched the Bruins. I know the Bruins were getting banged up. Obviously, they played Game 5 without defenseman Torrey Krug, who's obviously a very key component on the back end generating offense, especially in the power play. So they greatly missed Torrey Krug back there. Backes left Game 5 injured. I think it was around halfway through the game. He took a big hit. He had a big collision with JT Miller. Can't say for sure, but it wouldn't be a shocker if he ends up coming over that with a concussion. They did make incidental contact. There didn't really seem to be anything dirty about it, in my opinion. But it was a nasty collision for sure, and Backes definitely was injured. They never did confirm the outcome. At this point, we may not hear for a few days exactly, since the season's over, what the outcome of that was, but it could be, hopefully for his sake, it's not a concussion, because that's something he's dealt with in the past. And as you know, once you're dealing with multiple concussions, sometimes things can be bad and really difficult for the player to move forward. So hopefully that's not the case, but the way it looked, it could very well have been something along those lines, and some type of head injury for sure. So unfortunately, Tampa Bay's depth just really outplayed Boston's depth. I mean, Boston made some moves. Like the Rick Nash trade at this point doesn't look real good. Leading into the deadline, the Bruins kind of came out of, I wouldn't say they were a leading contender to make a big move like that. They kind of surprised me a little. But the Rick Nash trade looked good early on. The first few games he played, he looked strong, but really I don't think you can really say that he had the greatest playoffs for the Bruins. So I mean, they do need another forward to play up on that line with Krejci's line. They could use like that type of player that Rick Nash is, or used to be, I guess we could say. But it's not looking real solid right now. So they probably have some regrets. Hopefully, maybe they feel like they overpaid. Otherwise, they could have gone really. I mean, if you take a look at the other option that they had, which instead of going the Rick Nash route, they played Ryan Donato after they got him signed. He played a bunch of games at the end of the year, and he looked awesome. He scored a bunch of goals. But yet he barely played in the playoffs. He did play the last game against Tampa, but if you had Ryan Donato in there instead of Rick Nash, would that have made a difference? I mean, from an offensive perspective, maybe it would have. Maybe they shouldn't have bothered going after Nash. Hard to say, but if you're a Bruins fan, especially because you know this team inside out more than most fans, what do you think of the Rick Nash trade now? And do you think maybe they should have just held steady and gave Donato a chance? I mean, yes, I know he's inexperienced, he's a kid, but he's an older rookie coming out of the college ranks, and he looked pretty darn good at the end of the regular season. So would that have been a better move for the Boston Bruins to proceed into the playoffs? So let me know your thoughts on that. So to summarize here, Tampa Bay outscored the Bruins 17-13, so really not terrible. If you think about a 5-game series to be outscored 4 goals, it's enough to lose, but it's not terrible. Power play and penalty killing wise, you can say the Lightning were 5 for 19 on the power play, and the Bruins were 5 for 12. So the Bruins had just as many power play goals with fewer opportunities, so that gives them a better percentage. You could argue the Bruins kind of won the special teams battle here, really, but at the same time, I'm sure that the Brad Marchand licking incident was a bit of a distraction. I mean, obviously that was getting a little bit ridiculous. We've already discussed that here. I don't want to get into that again. But you can't help but wonder if some of Marchand's antics, if he might have been a bit of a distraction to his team. Let me know what you think. How does Boston proceed here in order to make things better, to have a shot going further next season? Before we jump into doing a recap here in the Vegas Golden Knights and San Jose Sharks series, I just want to give a quick cheap plug here to one of my YouTube buddies, Louis, over at Vegas Golden Knights coverage. He's got a great YouTube channel. Obviously, he focuses primarily on the Vegas Golden Knights. Highly entertaining, lots of good content over there. He does a lot of recaps on the Golden Knights. He does a lot of live streams as well, mostly during their games, especially here during the playoffs. So I highly recommend you check out his channel. Even if you're not a Golden Knights fan, you'll still find the videos quite entertaining. So certainly go check him out. There's a link to him down below in the description, so go check out that channel. Obviously Vegas here wins their second series. They've only played 10 playoff games now, and they're into the second round. Obviously that gives them a record of 8 wins and 2 losses, the same as Tampa Bay. Both teams here have only played 10 playoff games to make it to round 3. That's pretty impressive. Vegas has now won 2 playoff rounds in their inaugural season. That gives them more playoff series wins than almost half the league over the last 10 years. So it goes to show how historical this really is. If you take a look at how this series started off with a bang, 7-0 Vegas. Marc-Andre Fleury with a huge shutout. They had all kinds of different guys hitting the score sheet, which was a flying start for Vegas. Obviously, they started off at home, so that was a tremendous way to start. The Sharks went 0 for 5 in a power play, so their special teams victory definitely went to Vegas. Vegas went 3 for 10 on the power play, so San Jose was very undisciplined in that first game. Vegas took advantage of a bunch of opportunities, as well as dominated a 5-on-5 game. Marc-Andre Fleury had a tremendous game. The shots were pretty even, 34-33, but every other aspect of the game was definitely dominated by Vegas. They come back the next game. Sharks come back with a big double overtime victory, 4-3. Sharks have a 4-3 Game 2 victory. They outshot the Golden Knights 47-29. Power play opportunities, Vegas was 0 for 2, whereas the Sharks were 2 for 7. So the Tide's return as far as penalties, discipline, Sharks took advantage of it, come up with a victory. Tied the series up at 1-1. We move on to Game 3 in the Shark Tank. Vegas pulls out a 4-3 overtime victory. Wild Bill Carlson with the overtime winner. He had a tremendous series. He's having a tremendous playoffs. Really, the whole team is. 42-33 shots on goal in favor of the Sharks. Marc-Andre Fleury again came up huge. Power play opportunities, 2 for 6 for Vegas, 1 for 4 for the Sharks. So again, Vegas with the victory. Tightly contested game. The goalie came up big when mattered most. That takes us over to Game 4, where the San Jose Sharks come back with a shutout of their own. Martin Jones puts up the goose egg for the Sharks. They pell out a 4-0 victory over Vegas in Game 4 to kind of even this series up here. The shots on goal were even, 34 apiece. Vegas was 0 for 5 in the power play. The Sharks were 1 for 5. So really most of the scoreboard looked pretty even, except the scoreboard where it mattered most. Sharks take a 4-0 win and even things up. Game 5. The Vegas Golden Knights come back with a 5-3 victory on home ice. They outshot the Sharks 39-30. Both teams were 1 for 4 in the power play. So overall, pretty evenly matched game. But Vegas comes out ahead again, as per usual, probably for Vegas reasons, because Vegas just seems to be able to get it done when it matters most, scoring clutch goals at clutch times. And then Marc-Andre Fleury comes up huge in Game 6 with a shutout, a 3-0 victory. The Sharks actually outshot the Golden Knights 33-28. The Sharks were 0 for 2 in the power play. Vegas was 0 for 1. Special teams really didn't play a factor here. Marc-Andre Fleury in the goal post, in my opinion, were the 3 stars of the game. The left post was the 2nd star. The right post was the 3rd star. The Sharks hit the post a crazy amount of times. They all bounced the right way for Fleury. Luck was on their side in that game. And you know, they say you have to be good to be lucky. Well, he's been good, and he was lucky as well. And he had both going for him in Game 6. And they pull out the victory to make some more history and move on to the next round. So leave some comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the Vegas and San Jose series. How do the Sharks move forward here? Obviously, there's lots of speculation about things they might do in the offseason. I mean, it was reported now after the series ended, Evander Kane was playing a lot of due to injuries. Like he had a separated shoulder and he had a damaged MCL as well. But he played through it. So obviously, kind of, you know, he still had a decent playoffs for the Sharks, but, you know, certainly impacted him for sure. Obviously, they were without Jumbo Joe Thornton. You got to wonder, did Joe Thornton play his final game this year as a Shark? That's back-to-back years with significant injuries that kept him out for significant periods of time. Can he bounce back? Will he bounce back? Will the Sharks offer him a new deal? Will he want to keep going? So leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think about that. Is Joe Thornton coming back? How do the Sharks move forward and go from here? Don't forget as well, we had the 1,000 subscriber giveaway going on. The video is posted for that with the information on how you enter that giveaway. Today is going to be the final day for that. So around this time tomorrow, we are going to be closing that up and completing the random draw to see who the lucky winner is. So if you haven't done so already, the link's down in the description. Click on that video, go watch it, get your instructions, and enter the giveaway. Already check us out on Twitter. You're going to find our Twitter handle on the screen right here. We're very active on Twitter, so check out that account. We love engaging in hockey conversations with all of our viewers. So if you're on Twitter, certainly consider following us for sure. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams. There's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So I hope you'll consider that if you're new. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time.